Okay, everybody, we're going to do a couple things here for the holidays. One is we're going to make some little tiny apple fritter type things. I don't know what you call them, apple tarts. And then we're going to make a Dutch apple pie. And then we're going to do some hot dogs and puff pastry appetizers. Okay, so if you don't have one of these apple peeling machines, get one. They're like 16 bucks. I mean, and they're worth it, believe me. All right, anyway, I'm just going to chop the apples up small. Instead of lemon juice, I'm going to use orange juice. Orange juice, I'm going to add in there, and that'll keep them from turning brown. Any citric acid will stop them from turning brown. So a little bit of orange juice is going to be the trick here. All right, so we're chopping them up. Now, what I'm using here is I'm going to use puff pastry from the store. You just buy it in the freezer section of the store. I'm also going to use a frozen pie shell from the store. It's actually pie dough, that you buy in the shell. This stuff is easy. This is not rocket science here. This is really easy stuff. This is the longest part of the whole operation, is chopping up the apples. All right, there they go. They're chopped. You want to taste them. See how much sugar you need. Not all apples are the same, So there goes a little bit of orange juice. Now we're going to add some brown sugar. Nope, not yet. Some cinnamon. Exactly how much, I can't really tell you. I don't know. I mean, here I put in, what is this, 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon. This is the kind of stuff you do per your own taste. You know what I mean? Some people like a lot of cinnamon. Some people don't like nutmeg. I put in a little bit of nutmeg in it. It all depends on what you like, That's basically what's going to happen here. So there goes a little bit of nutmeg. Here's a couple drops of vanilla. Not much, just a little bit. Okay, now some brown sugar. This is homemade brown sugar. You just make it with molasses and regular white sugar. Okay, I'm going to add that in. Somewhere in here. There it is. Okay. There's, two spoons of it. What's that, a cup? Like I say, I don't measure too many things. Especially when it comes to stuff like this. When you bake, like if you're baking a cake, you have to measure everything, because that's more or less chemistry when you're baking a cake. Or, certain things that you bake, you have to measure. But with stuff like this, you really don't. Okay, this is this is cornstarch. There's a little bit of honey. Cornstarch, I would say I put in 4 tablespoons. There's some raisins. Mix all that up. And again, you have to taste it as you're going along, All right, there we go. Need a little bit more cornstarch. I felt like it needed. Yeah, like I said, you taste it as you go. It needs a little more cinnamon. Okay, no problem. That's part of cooking, is to taste the stuff as you go. You adjust things. That's what you do. You do adjustments. I remember my mom, when she cooked, when it came time to eat, she hardly ate anything because she tasted the stuff all day long. All right, now look, here's a little trick. If you don't have a pastry tarp, or what do they call those things? If you don't have one of them pastry I forget what it's called. It's a towel that you put down and you roll stuff on it. You can roll dough on it. The dough doesn't stick. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, if you don't have one of those, what you do is you wet your cutting board or the surface that you're using. Wet it, and then put the flour on, and that will help stuff from not sticking. Of course, this is going to stick because the puff pastry is really wet when it thaws out. But you could tell right away if it's wet or not, because if it's not moving when you roll it, well, then you got a problem. You have to get it unstuck. It's got to be moving when you roll it. If it doesn't move, well, you're in bad shape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 16 pieces. So I'm going to just make 16 little squares. There we go. Now it's driving me crazy what that thing is called. I can't think of it. Oh well, that's what happens when you get old. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of water on to use as glue. We're not going to seal these things up, but we are going to fold them a little bit. And when you fold them, you want them to stick a little bit. Like I say, they're not going to be sealed, so it won't matter. A pastry cloth is what it's called. And what it is, it's a cloth that you don't wash. You just keep, putting flour on it. It's kind of weird. But anyway, what you do is you lay that thing down, and then you put your flour on, and then you roll out whatever you're going to roll, any kind of dough, and it won't stick to the cloth. So if you don't have one of those, I know a lot of people don't use those things. I know I never liked them. But if you don't have one, just wet the surface that you're going to roll this stuff on, and then just put the flour on, and it'll really help a lot. All right, here we go. Like I say, I'm not really rolling them. I'm not sealing them. They're just getting kind of folded, rolled up, just kind of, random, haphazard. Just try to fold them up the best you can. Okay, also another thing, if you're not using parchment paper on your stuff here, like there's parchment paper here on that cookie sheet. Even though the cookie sheet is no stick, you should get parchment paper. I'm telling you, it's really, man, it really is a saver. It really is a time saver. All right, here's the pie crust. Okay, anyway, those were the apple things. They went in the oven. The pie crust, just buy some pie crust, already made. I mean, the reason for this video and the next couple videos that I make is going to be for simplicity during the holidays. When you don't want to mess around with all this other garbage. You know what I mean? You just want to, you want to make something nice, but you don't really want to go crazy doing it. This will save you from making the pie dough, I mean, if you don't have nothing else to do, go ahead and make pie dough. That's not a big deal, but most people are busy doing a lot of other things. All right, now, there's the apples with the raisins and the orange juice. I don't put the orange juice in the pie. Okay, now we're just going to add a couple little hits of butter. All right, then we're going to roll up the edges of the pie. And then we're going to make the Dutch apple, the crust, or the crumbs. Now look, I don't really remember the recipe for the crumbs. I believe it's 1 part flour, 1 part sugar, and I don't know how much butter. I don't know, but wait. I started out here with 1 stick of butter. Just 1 stick. All right, I'll show you. Hold on, it's coming up here in a minute. Okay, there's 1 stick of butter melted. Now, I'm going to add the flour to it, which I'm going to say is, I don't know, maybe 3 cups. I can't, yeah, maybe 2 cups of flour. Okay, and then I'm going to put 2 cups of sugar. And then just add some cinnamon to it, and then mix it. Okay, what you want is crumbs. You want, crumbles. You want, here, I'll show you when it's mixed. You could use a machine for this if you want. I didn't want to get the machine out, so I just did it. But, I can feel it, you know what I mean, when it's ready. Now, right now, I can tell you it needs more sugar. So I'm going to add a little, there we go, a little bit more. Okay. That's ready right there. It's ready to go. All right, now just put that on top of the pie. You know what? If you want to look up the recipe for this, it's called Dutch apple pie. So if you look for the topping, it'll give you the ratio of everything. I've made it so many times, I don't really need the recipe. I know what it feels like, And this is a lot easier than trying to put a pie crust on top of it. Okay, so that's about that. And then that goes in the oven. And the little bit of crumbs that I had left over, I put those in the freezer. By the way, the hot dogs, I only cooked 3 of them. 3 cut into 4 portions. So once I rolled up the hot dogs, I froze the other ones. Oh, this is the cool thing about the seal meal. Okay, I knew I was going to do this hot dog thing, so I put the hot dogs in with the whatchamacallit, in with the pork chops that I bought. So now I'm just going to take the hot dogs out and then reseal the package. I love this machine, man, I'm telling you. Okay, there's 4 hot dogs, and here's the other 2. These are good hot dogs, by the way. They're Nathan's. They're not the cheap Oscar Mayer ones. These are good. I like the flavor of these. Okay, so now I'm going to seal up the pork chops again and put those back in the freezer. The shelf that I built for the seal meal is down here. Here it is. I just pulled it out. There it is. The seal meal's inside there. Okay, now all I do is I stick the open end back into the machine. Hold it down for a second. There it is. Now it's drawing the air out of the package. And then it seals it. And you're good to go. I love this machine, I'm telling you. This thing is awesome. All right, there it is. It's sealed again. Good to go. Okay. Now, here's the puff pastry for the hot dogs. This puff pastry, you do want to roll this one out. You want to get this one kind of thin, because if the puff pastry is too thick, then the hot dogs aren't going to be one bite. You know what I mean? They're gonna be a problem. And also make sure that the dough is wide enough for 2 hot dogs. Okay? So there's one. Now all I'm going to do is roll it and take a little bit of glue, which could be milk, egg, water, whatever you want to use for glue is good. I'm just using water. All right, there you go. Okay, and seal it up right there. Okay, cut it. And now you have 1, which is 4 appetizers. I'm going to cut those later into 4. You'll see. So, I mean, these are really easy. You can make them up ahead. You can make them a week or a month ahead even, and put them back in the freezer. You know, it's up to you. You could make them the day of a party. You know what I mean? It's totally up to you. All right, so with 6 hot dogs, I'm going to end up with 24 appetizers. Now, you know, if you have other appetizers, that's all you need is 6 hot dogs. You know what I mean? If you have 5 different appetizers and you have 24, you're talking 120 appetizers. There's the parchment paper I was talking about. It really is worth getting parchment paper. I'm telling you, this stuff really does save you a lot of time washing pots and pans. All right, these are the 3 I'm going to save. There, I just put them in a plastic bag, and I'm just going to shove them in the freezer. Okay, let's see what's going on now. I don't know what happened here. Okay, here's the apple tarts and the hot dogs in the puff pastry. You stick a toothpick in each one. Serve them with a couple different kinds of gourmet mustard. You know, I mean, man, they're dynamite. They really are good. In fact, I ate every one of those. Oh boy. And the apple things, I put those in the freezer. Here, the topping for the apple is powdered sugar and just a couple drops of milk. Don't go crazy with the milk. You're going to regret it. You got to go real light on the milk. A couple drops of milk and powdered sugar, and there you have your topping for your apples. All right, listen, I got to go. It doesn't get any better than this. See you.